Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Prep Talk live show. Let me just fix my lighting in here. I apologize for the overexposure. If you are new here, my name is Kissa. Welcome to the Prep Talk live show. On this live show, I talk about being an entrepreneur, life, and the journey that we all go on when we embark on owning our own small business. I personally own a food business called Ninong's Dessert Lab. And so I talk a lot about what we do on the day to day, how I prep for our week, lessons that I've learned throughout the business. So if that's something that interests you, please do hit the subscribe button. I also put out videos regarding pop ups and how to better improve your pop up business. So if that also sounds interesting to you, please do hit subscribe. This live show is every Monday, 12 p.m. ish Pacific time. And I usually do the live show when my son Micah goes down for his nap because that's when I have the most quiet time to be able to talk to you guys. So, as I said, welcome and let's just jump into it. So, today I thought, aside from planning our week, talking to you about the previous week that just went down and kind of what we were going through as a family and as a business, today I'm also going to be talking to you guys about prepping for the holiday season. And I know that in the real world, it might be a bit too soon for a lot of you to be thinking about the holidays and to be prepping for the holidays. But when you are selling products, it's definitely something that you need to be pre planning and thinking about in advance. So, we're going to be talking about that today. I'm really excited. It is the first live show of quarter 4. Can you believe we are in the last quarter of 2021? I can't. It just has gone by so fast. So, all that to say, it it has been actually a pretty good week. Every week has its ups and downs. I'm just, forgive me, I'm just looking over here at um, Micah's baby monitor to make sure that he is breathing and alive. But let's talk about last week, shall we? Um, it was actually a pretty smooth sailing week compared to previous weeks. So I'm very grateful for that. I've been doing a lot of self reflection lately. Um, just in I don't know. I get this like feeling of wrapping up the year because October is upon us, and so September I tend to like kind of focus on wrapping up this year and trying to figure out what I can still accomplish in the next 3 months because in and a lot of productivity people have kind of talked about this is, everyone kind of checks out during the holidays or wants to do as minimal amount of work as possible. And so if you're on that same boat, a lot of what we have to do in that case is to prep and really turn up the heat prior to then because as small businesses, as entrepreneurs, we all know that the reality is if we don't work, then our business is not working. It'd be different if we had a staff that could run the business for us or if we were an absentee business or something like that. But if you are hands-on in your business just like I am, then there are consequences to taking a break. And I, for one, want to take a break. So I understand those consequences. I kind of talked about it when we went on vacation this past August, and it's the same exact thing, right? Where you have to decide, do you work or do you rest? You can't or you shouldn't do both. I used to think that I could do both. Let me put my phone on silent really quick. But you can't, right? And so you want to either be 100% present when it comes to work or you want to be 100% present when it comes to personal life or taking taking time away or taking a break or whatnot. So the holidays, that tends to be a time where people want to focus on personal things, want to focus on family, and that's nothing wrong with that. I like to do that, and it's a great time to do that. And so that is, if you're interested in doing that, my hope for you is that we can prep so you can think about your holiday schedule in advance, and then we can work on it together to really get it to a place where you feel like you can work and play, or work and spend time with family, and find that balance so that you don't go nuts over the holiday season. So that's what's in store for today's video. If you are watching the replay, thank you so much. There will be timestamps in the description below within 24 hours of this video going live, so make sure you check that out if you want to jump from topic to topic. All right, so this past week, like I said, was a pretty smooth week. We had to work on two large wholesale orders. This was our first time doing such a big quantity of, product for wholesale, and it was really exciting. But, because of that, there's a learning curve that comes with it. And, you know, it's it's always a learning process, right? When you're encountering an aspect of your business that is just so new and it's not something that you've experienced before, no matter how seasoned you are, when you walk into uncharted territory within your business or anything, you're always going to have to adapt and learn as you go. And, you know, I've been doing pop-ups for 10 years. I've had a brick and mortar for 13 years. And wholesale is still uncharted territory. This is our first year doing wholesale, and this is our first year doing wholesale at the scale that we're doing it. And so we're learning a lot about um, ordering in large quantities and making sure that the timing of our deliveries are optimal based on when our vendors want the products. All of those things is a learning curve. It's very different from running a restaurant or doing a pop-up. So we're learning as we're going along, and because of that, it gets a little stressful here and there because you live and you learn, right? So, um, but in comparison to the previous weeks, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. We got product in time, and my husband Charlie had to put in an extra day of work, which is okay. He worked yesterday on Sunday to get our delivery ready to go for this morning, and then my dad went to deliver the goods to the vendor this morning, and he is actually on his way back, which is great. So, we are well on our way, and if this becomes a regular thing, then we adapt and we grow again, because then if we have two vendors ordering large quantities from us, our production schedule is going to change, and we just have to, accommodate and figure out a schedule that works so that we can make those orders happen. Um, and then we can evaluate. But I know that we could handle it if the good Lord blesses us with more business. I know we can handle the volume that we're doing this week. We just have to make a few tweaks so that Charlie doesn't have to work on a Sunday, but kind of incorporated into our week. And so we're learning as we go, and it's a great thing. It's a great feeling to know that even though it's not ironed out to the best of our ability, we are tweaking and we're adapting. And after this week, we kind of reflect and we say, what could we do better next week? Or I don't want to do that next week. For example, I don't want to work on Sunday next week. I would rather find time in the week to do it. And so part of the reason why Charlie had to work on Sunday was because our materials didn't come in until I think Wednesday. And so we had to wait for the delivery to come on Wednesday, and it didn't come until like late afternoon. So he didn't get to start the order on until Thursday. And then we had to focus on our regular delivery on Friday. And so there was just no time. So he took Saturday off. they finished the order on Sunday and then we delivered on Monday. But he said that he definitely feels like they can incorporate an extra order throughout the week. We need to know whether or not it's going to be a thing. And if it is a thing, we can iron out all the details. So that's good news. And if we do, I was telling Charlie this, the volume that we're working at right now puts us in a really great place. With the investments that we made in buying equipment to speed up our production, we'll be in a great place. And if our business expands, even more so. So, man, I'm just grateful for the growth that we're experiencing, and I'm grateful that our products are on the shelves in other places. If you are interested in where you can purchase our products, I put a link always in the description below to our online store. But if you want to go to a brick and mortar, if you want to support one of our retailers that purchases from us wholesale, you can also see a list of our retailers on our website as well. So it's a great thing. I'm very, very excited. It's just such a blessing. So that is that. Um, on the personal side, I've been working on the office. So as you guys know, I got the day bed, and I bought some stuff from Apple over the weekend for my iPad. I bought a new keyboard for it because the other one that I had was older and it's starting to fray in the corner. So got that taken care of. Um, I'm moving more things into the office. As you can see, those two boxes, that's basically boxes of paper and cardstock. So moving that in. We have another order that's inside those instant crates right there, and then we have more wholesale orders that are shipping out. So the office is starting to become functional. I'm really, really happy about that. It's 99% finished. And then there's going to be a few decor things that we're going to work on. We're going to put photos along this wall that we used to have at our restaurant. I'm going to put them up here in the office. And then against those two short walls, one here and one here, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm thinking I'm going to put shelves or something like that so it just has a nice background. And then I'm thinking of lifting up this camera a little bit because it's a little low, like that, I think, is where we want to be. So, uh, office is coming along, and I've really been, I get so, I have to tell you, I get really bored of projects really fast. Let me adjust the light a little bit. But, when I get the bare bones of things done, I tend to move on to new projects. And I really don't like that about myself because I don't see the project all the way through to 100%. So the office, I don't want to just leave it like this where I'm okay with boxes being on the ground, no decoration on the walls. I don't want to leave it like this, but if it were me in the past, I would leave it like this because it's functional. It's fine. And so I'm working on that. I want to make sure that I feel like it's it makes me feel motivated and inspired when I walk in. And so that's something that I know I I need an environment boost. So decorations and things like that will really help. I have this picture frame that I put in front of my computer. It's mine and Charlie's family and Micah's family photo from San Diego last year, and that is right in front of me so that when I'm working, I am constantly looking at my why. So if I have that all around me, it'll definitely it'll just boost my motivation and my work ethic. So that is going to be the continuation of the office progress. Um, and then on the personal side, I have decided that there are a bunch of things that I've been working on to improve just my self confidence and my own personal just self-care routine and the way I perceive myself and my self-love. And um, one thing that I decided last week was that I was going to start a challenge at the very minimum for the next 90 days. And so there's two things that I'm going to be doing. One is I'm going to be drinking a gallon of water a day because I am not drinking enough water for sure. And so basically, a gallon of water is a little bit more than three of these Hydro Flask bottles. This is the 40 ounce. And so if I can drink about 3.5 of these a day, that's a gallon a day. And so I'm going to start with just making my goal to be three of these. It's already halfway through the day. It's noon, past noon, and I haven't even finished one, but I'm almost there. I can hear it. Like when I jiggle it around, it's not as heavy. So um, I'm gonna try and figure out how I can keep myself accountable, not just daily, because I used to do this when I made a drinking water goal. I used to not drink water all day, and then once 5 or 6 p.m. hit, I'm like, oh, I need to drink two of these. And then I'll just like try and chug water, and then my bladder can't hold it all. And then in the middle of the night, I'm getting up because I gotta go pee. So, um, that is, oh, man, the camera is not cooperating with me. There we go. It's a little bit better. Sorry, guys. Sorry about the lighting problems. Um, so I want to find a way to split it up throughout the day better instead of just realizing it at like the end of the day and trying to like binge and drown myself in water because that's not going to work. So I'm going to figure that out. That's something that I'm going to focus on this week. Um, and then the other thing that I've decided is I am going to I'm going to for three days a week to start. 3 days a week, I'm going to be doing like a no sugar. I don't want to say diet, but I'm not going to consume sugar on 3 chosen days a week. And realistically, I mean, for one, I own a business that sells sweets, so that's that. Realistically, that's not going to happen every single day of my life, right? Like it's just not realistic. Every once in a while, in moderation, you got to have what you want. But I that's why I think I I haven't found that one thing that will get me to make better food choices. And I do feel like this is realistic enough for me that I can stick to it, but it doesn't feel like punishment either. So I'm going to be, um, that's something I decided last week that I'm going to start implementing this week. And I'm going to commit to it long term, but let's just say until the end of 2021. So the next 3 months, I'm going to commit to that. So I made that decision. And then another thing that was really great was this past Friday, I actually met with a financial planner because um, I just do not have a very great relationship with money. And I've known that partially because I don't know a lot about money. There was no class, right? Like when you go to school, you don't learn about how to manage your money well. And it's just something that I've had to learn along the way. And I know that there are things like budgets and, savings and investments and all that stuff, but catered to me and my situation and the journey that I went on, how does that apply to me specifically? So, I mean, there's things like the Dave Ramsey method and like all those different things. Um, but I really wanted to get personalized help, especially since our business is growing now and that's going to be affecting our personal finances. And I just want to make sure we have a good foundation. So I sought a financial planner, spoke with him this past Friday, and I feel really good. about what I learned, the conversation we had, and the goals that I kind of set with him and with Charlie about how we're going to move forward. So, um, by no means has anything really changed because that was just a few days ago, but just knowing more of the path that I need to take to get me where I want to be is really clarifying, and it feels really good, and it takes a load off of my shoulders when it comes to that aspect. So I'm really glad that I did it, and we'll see kind of where it goes. All right, now, upcoming week. I thought I would, aside from the things that I told you about just health goals and stuff like that, I thought I would share with you guys my Notion setup because there are a few things that I've kind of updated, and it will start applying to this particular week. So let's go ahead and take a look at the HQ. Oh, I should have scrolled down. Okay, so we are in a new month. We're now in October, so I'm going to change this, and I'm going to filter for everything after October 1st. So only October weekly agendas are going to show on my HQ. September is now behind us, which I cannot believe is crazy. Um, and let's open up the weekly agenda. So a few things that that has changed is this property section. I've created a new section right here for my business weekly agenda. So I have a separate weekly agenda that I share with Charlie because we do not work in the same physical place. And it makes it really hard to keep track of everything when you're just texting things back and forth, and then you're texting so much throughout the day about personal things and about business things that it just gets lost and you don't know where anything is. So I created a weekly agenda section for my personal weekly agenda so that I can see it and I can access it really fast. So if I click here and I go to this weekly agenda, this is the one for the business. And I updated this a little bit with our current orders. That's just basically a different way of seeing um, our orders database that is normally in calendar view. I showed you guys that last week. And then you can see um, projects that pertain to the business and then tasks as well that pertain to the business. Projects and tasks still continue to stay in our main projects and tasks database, which you see here, but I just filtered them so you can, when you click on the weekly agenda, all you really see is the ones that pertain to the business. And then same thing goes for my personal weekly agenda. I can filter out these tasks and see them in a different way. As you can see, I'm looking at my tasks here in a Kanban style, but the exact same tasks are just filtered in a different way, and that is what I showed you earlier, and that is shown in a spreadsheet form. So this is the exact same data, just filtered and catered to each situation differently, which is really cool. All right. So things that have changed a little bit is I added that. Also an exchanges reference. So if I have a meeting or a conversation with anyone and I'm taking meeting notes, I can put those here. That way, if I had a conversation, I remember, oh, you know, this client that I met with said something specific that I need to take out of their meeting notes. I can click here on the corresponding meeting notes, and I don't have to search through my exchanges database. And I kind of went over exchanges in the past in a previous live show, but that's on my Kissa HQ here, and it's down here. Sorry, my mouse is acting up. Okay, It's right here in my Kissa HQ, and these are, as I said, just meeting notes, or an area where I take notes whenever I have a coaching call or whenever I have a a meeting or an accountability partner meetup, whatever it is. Um, any type of exchange that I have between myself and someone else goes into that database. And so I can reference that, as you guys saw. That way I'm only linking back to the ones from this week, because when you look at that database that I just showed you, the main one, it's just so full of conversations. So it tends to be kind of overwhelming to look at, which is why I like to just put what's relevant here. Okay, so that's new. Another thing that is new is, well, this is relatively new, but not brand new. I have this week's affirmation that we're going to fill out in a moment. And then everything else is still the same. Now, going into the daily journal, there are a few things that I have changed here as well. So let's look into today's daily journal. I actually pre-made all of these just so that I can show you guys. One thing that I added is water content. So since I told you guys my goal of drinking a gallon of water a day, that's, like I said, 3.5 hydro flasks, 40-ounce ones, I guess, 3.5-ish of those. And so I put this property in there so I can track it daily. And every time I complete one bottle, I put a drop here. So this is a great, easy tracker for me so I can make sure I know where I'm at. What else is new for this daily agenda? That's pretty much it for that upper area. Coming down here, this all also is the same. So reflection questions are still the same. Night routine are still the same. To tell you the truth, I do not do my night routine. I need to be better at that. Tasks is the same. Focus is the same. Okay. So other than that, the daily journal is good to go. So going back here. All right, the last thing that is new, I already showed you guys the lead CRM. I kind of walked through that a couple uh, episodes ago. So I need to change the filter here. Let's put contains October, and I'm going to create a new, oops. I'm going to create a new filter. Okay, so as long as it contains October, we are good. Oh, did I make two? Of course I did. Let's see. This was made on 10/4/11/06. This was made on September 30th. Let's look through this. Let's trash this one because we only need one. We don't need multiple. I had forgotten that I made one last week already, but okay. So this is the agenda for the business, different from my personal agenda for this week. So I shared this whole workspace with Charlie. We go here to make sure that we are on top of what's needed. One thing that is new on this weekly agenda is I referenced my agenda, right? So as mentioned, I can go into this area of my personal weekly agenda and I can click on to this exact database, and I can also do it the other way around. So if I'm in the business weekly agenda, which I am in now, I can easily click on this one, and this one goes to my personal. So here's my personal weekly agenda. There's the business one. And so it's just a click away. It makes it so easy versus going into this menu area, looking for your weekly agenda, going to the correct area, yada, yada. This makes it so simple. So I added that just for easy accessibility. And then I added this orders database. That way we can see what is still outstanding and an incomplete order or hasn't been billed or whatever it is. So those are there, and then when it's complete, then they get removed from this database because the filter that we have is that it is still open. If the order is done, it gets removed. So let me fix this a little bit, make it look a little prettier. Um, it's so much easier to do this, like customize the way it looks. It's so much easier to do it on a desktop. You can definitely edit this in on a tablet, but oh, it's so hard. It's just not as easy. So that's why I like to do it on the desktop. And then these are projects that are still the same and tasks are still the same. So this is the big new area. I showed you also our lead CRM and all that stuff. So that is ready to go. I've been using it. It just feels really good. Um, so last week I was talking about getting more admin help, which is why I'm really going all in on our, our workspace for the business, because I really want to make sure that whoever comes on for our admin support has the gist of what I'm trying to do here. And then of course, tiny specific details I can train, I can go over it, but it should be a good handbook on how to just make things, how to keep track of things and how to jump in and it kind of explains itself. So that's that. I also created a meetings database here. Um, this is for our meeting notes when we have internal meetings, but also if we have meetings with vendors or anything like that, it can also go in here if it's not sales related. So it could be vendors um, that we purchased from. It could be whatever it is. That's an easy place to reference things. That way we can kind of say, oh, what did this person say about that certain thing that we need to know? We can go into the meetings. It's exactly like exchanges, but for the business specifically. And then I also created this. So our orders is basically our orders from our vendors. And there's two views. One is not yet received. So these are outstanding orders that we're waiting to be shipped. And then not and then all orders, which is basically received or not received. I could see them all. So these are basically outstanding orders. I could see the status of them. So a good example is we had a Costco order this past weekend, and Charlie put this in. Go Charlie! He's actually using my Notion setup. I'm so proud of him. Um, but he can go in here and he can mark it and flag it as requested. So if I see something in here today, for example, I looked at our orders and I saw it had said requested, then I know it's new. I haven't processed it or paid for it or anything like that yet. And then when I put the order through, which I did today, you can mark it as ordered. Now, when the order gets shipped, you can change it to shipped. And then if it, because a lot of things come in multiple cases for us, and sometimes half or maybe 3/4 of the order gets delivered, and then the other half is coming another day, you can mark it partially received. And then when it's fully received, it goes away. So here's a good example. So our Webster on order, for example, you can hit received and then it removes itself because I'm looking at a not yet received view. But if I go back and I do all orders, we're going to put it back to ordered. Okay. So that's new. I did this because we're having such a hard time keeping track of all the things we ordered and where it was going. So we have our home office and we also have our prep kitchen. And so some things were getting shipped there, some things were getting shipped here. It was just so hard to communicate where and remember where. And then another thing was the tracking numbers, right? Like as I mentioned, you would think you would think that when you place an order for something, since the delivery service, like whether it be UPS or FedEx or whoever, you would think that if you ordered and they were going to deliver it, it was going to all arrive at the same time, especially if it came from the same place. It would all arrive at the same time. But clearly, it doesn't always happen that way. So that's why it was hard to keep track of. So I put tracking numbers in here because Charlie kept asking me what the, like when they were arriving, and I'm like, you know what? If I just put this in one central place, then it's very easy for me to, you know, um, communicate that information. They don't have to keep asking me. I can put the date that it's expected. If I put the tracking numbers in there, they can check it for themselves. And then, as I mentioned, this is all for our admin person. So our admin person is going to be managing this so that it's, if Charlie asks, I don't have to answer. Or if we get a kitchen manager, for example, the admin person and the kitchen manager can easily communicate between each other. So that is, that's the idea. All right. So those are the updates for Notion. I'm really liking the way that our Ninong's Hub is coming together. I really think that it has improved drastically, and I'm going to be chipping away at this week by week to make sure that we just have um, an easy way to communicate so it's easier to keep track of. I was just so overwhelmed. It was crazy. I was really overwhelmed with all these little details because I was the only person that knew the information, right? And how can I get frustrated at people? I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Um, but how can I get frustrated at, oh, okay. How can I get frustrated at people when I'm the only one that has the information and I don't have any place for them to get it, right? So I realized that and I'm like, why am I upset? Well, what can I do to make that go away? And so I created this in Notion. That's exactly what these apps and things are for, so that you can easily share information. And I finally started utilizing it. I think that you just kind of think, oh, you're a small business. You can just tell each other. It's not a big deal. But I just realized, one, I'm getting like upset that people are asking me. Um, so I should give them that information so that they stop asking me. And then secondly, if I want to create a process, but I don't show them how to use it, then what's the point of the process? Also, it's like I can create it for myself and that's great. I'm productive, I'm useful and whatnot. But um, if I expect others to use it, then I have to show them how, so that it's effective for all of us. And so I'm really starting to do that. And like I said, ooh, it feels good. All right, now let's go into last week's affirmation. Um, Last week's affirmation was, I am equipped to make money and save money. So obviously, this came to fruition because I met with a financial planner last week. And so that affirmation worked for sure. It was just staring at me in the face, and I've been meaning to contact that person that I wanted to just kind of ask questions and get more information, and I did it. So I'm really glad that I did, as I mentioned, and I do attribute it to this being just in front of me. It like sits in front of me at my desk, so whenever I'm here, it's just there. All right, so let's shuffle the cards Let's see what the affirmation is for this week and go from there. So I've been doing this pretty consistently, and so I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to get the same, we're going to have a repeat affirmation at some point. Let's pick this one. Okay. I attract mentors when I am mentoring myself. I attract mentors when I'm mentoring myself. Interesting. I don't know how to feel about that. I do have to say, I'm going to put this here. That's something I've got to reflect on. But I do have to say that, like, when I was in the beginning phases of being an entrepreneur, I wanted a mentor. I knew it was beneficial, but I was too afraid. Well, for one, I was too afraid to ask anybody. I didn't network properly enough to be able to comfortably make a connection and actually say, oh, I think I know someone that would be good for this. I'm on a call. Um, and so you know, I go through that, and I wish that I did do I wish that I did do more diligence in finding a mentor. I I didn't, and so I could have learned things a lot faster. I could have found someone that I can just talk to about the growing pains of a business, or just the pains of starting one, or and so I didn't do that, and because of that, it just took me a lot longer to learn things, and I also felt really alone. Um, our family felt really alone, like we were just doing it on our own, and because we weren't doing things the way others did necessarily, we also felt like everyone that we did know was kind of like either felt, I don't know, felt sorry or just didn't know what to say. So, it's hard when, like, you're meeting people and they don't exactly relate. That's the word. They don't exactly relate to what you're experiencing, and they mean well. And they love and care for you, but they're not going through it. So what can they really do about it, right? And so finding a mentor was something that I definitely wish that I did in the beginning phases of me starting my business. That's okay. It all happened the way it did, and everything turned out wonderful. But I, as time went on, I realized the value, and I really put more energy into creating good, meaningful connections with other people. And that's when I really started feeling more comfortable in my own skin and journey as an entrepreneur, because when you feel so distanced from your industry and you don't find anyone that you can really connect with, whether it's a mentor or even just a colleague that's on the same boat as you are, it's really hard because you just don't know what's going on outside of your bubble. It's just, you feel like this lone ship in the middle of the ocean, and you just don't know which way to go because you don't have a compass. And I think that was what I was experiencing, and I was just kind of guessing. And I just kind of said, I think this way's north, let's go. And I wasn't even really sure. And then eventually I hit land, which was lucky for me. Like, I'm it took a lot of, like, extra hard work, but instead of maybe making a straight line, I just kind of wiggled a lot. I went in circles a lot, and that's normal, right? A lot of people, have you seen that, like, that graphic of what people think entrepreneurship is like, and it's like this steady slope increasing, up, and then another, photo is like what it actually is like, and it's just like this whoosh, and that's exactly what it was. But with a mentor, at least you feel like someone's riding in the ship with you versus you riding alone. And so uh, I have that now. I have community and people around me. It's definitely not been easy these last couple years, but I no longer feel afraid or ashamed or embarrassed to ask for help. I don't feel ashamed or embarrassed about talking about our shortcomings as a business, um, because also I know that those shortcoming with every shortcoming there's still a ton of great things, and so I'm not afraid. I think there's this sense of pride that hits you when you feel a little stressed or something bad happens in your business, and then you feel like you don't want to tell anyone about it because you don't want them to know that something bad happened. But come on, I mean, bad things happen to all of us, and we all grow from it. And I used to be very cautious about what I share and what I say, and I just realized, for what? Like, why am I doing that? There's no need for me to be ashamed. I am where I am because of that journey, and hey, it brought me here, and I'm I actually, it's taken me even a while to be proud of where I am currently. But I am now. I wasn't before. Admittedly, I wasn't before, but I am now. I'm proud of the journey that I've been on. And I think that's why now I feel just so um, motivated and called to mentor and to coach, because I remember what it was like feeling so alone and so like stressed and so scared and not knowing who to talk to about it. Like, I just don't want anyone to feel that way, because it can get scary, and when it's really hard, um yeah, you can call your best friend, yeah, you can tell them about it, but if they're not going through the same thing, or if they don't have a similar business, or all they can do is empathize and give you the best advice that they can possibly give you. But if I had known someone that actually went through it, oh, it would have been so much easier, and I could be less, or I could just be more open about just how I feel, and not be so afraid to ask for guidance or what to do. So we'll see. I attract mentors when I am mentoring myself. We'll see how that pans out. But let's add that to the weekly agenda over here. I'm going to add it to my personal. I created a specific affirmation section for it. I attract mentors when I am mentoring myself. So that's going to be the affirmation for the week. And yeah, I think that feels good. Um, it's just, you know, um, maybe it's a mentor for me personally. Maybe it's going to be a mentor in the health aspect of wanting to make better food decisions and wanting to drink more water, just make better choices. Maybe that's where I need to find the mentor. That's another thing. Now that I think about it, I always thought of mentors as a business thing, and it's not always the case, right? Like, you can have a mentor in life, personal. You can have a mentor when it comes to health and nutrition and exercise. There's just so many different aspects to a mentor, and I never thought about that either. Um, even right now, like, I was just thinking mentors for business, but there's so many different ways that you can find a mentor that can affect you in your life, and so maybe that's what it is, because I don't have mentors in my personal life, um, especially lately. So maybe that's something that I want to think about, that I want to find. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. As you guys can see, my dad walked in. Delivery is complete. We got invoices. I gotta send those off so that we can get paid, y'all, in the next 30 days. And we go from there. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be lots of new stuff, lots of new information to spill next week. I do have a new video coming this week. I was supposed to have one last week, and there's just too much happening, and I decided to just focus on the things that were kind of bringing me down, which was my health choices. I wanted to focus on that and get my mind right. So it's coming back though, and I'm going to be working on it today. It will come up this week, so if you're not subscribed already and if you haven't hit the bell, please do. That way you get a notification when it does go live. All right, guys. Also, I haven't done any booth critiques in the last 2 weeks because I forget to ask for photos. So if you would like your pop-up booth or table to be critiqued, if you want some feedback for your next pop-up, please DM me on Instagram. The description is below. I wanted to mention that before we get the prep for the holidays stuff. All right. But yeah, especially because the holidays are coming up, now is the perfect time actually to be working on improving your booth setup. So DM me the photos of your booth. Let me know kind of what you feel like you're struggling with, and then I can share those on this live show and give you the critiques personally. I can either DM them back to you or I can email them to you, whatever is more convenient. And I mean, also, take it with a grain of salt. If you disagree with the advice that I have to give you, you don't have to take it. I just want to be able to offer it to you in hopes that it'll help you out. All right. So that's a good segue into holiday prep. It is the first week of October. Halloween is upon us. Then we have Thanksgiving in the US and at the end of November, and then December is just la 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 la, and then New Year happens, and the next thing you know is 2022. There are going to be a lot of pop-ups this year, especially for the holiday season. So if you want to get on the pop-up game, be aware that applications are going to be going out soon. So that's step one of holiday prep. Um, Keep an eye on the pulse in your area or even out of your area. Do you want to do a pop up outside of your area and see how it goes? Do it. So make sure, especially the smaller pop ups, like the small business pop ups, um, compared to like food festivals. Like food festivals are going to be going on throughout. So they probably already have applications out or whatever it is. But the smaller ones that do seasonal shows, now is the time to scout for those events and decide which aligns best with your company, your values, your brand. Now is the time. So, where to find them? Where do you go? Instagram, Facebook, you can find them. How can you find them if you don't even know where to look? Look at profiles of fellow vendors that you've shared or participated in an event together. Look at their profile, see where they're popping up. That's the best way, because if you connected with a fellow vendor at a previous pop up, they're going to have pop ups coming up too. And if you connected with them and you like them, then chances are you might like the pop ups that they're going to be attending. That's if they do their due diligence with their homework as well, right? So check other fellow vendors, see where they're popping up, and then go to that website, because most places you have to submit an application, right? Like you have to apply to be able to participate. So take a look, see if the deadline hasn't passed yet, and if it hasn't passed, then perfect. Apply for that pop up. Some things to consider that I always mention is you don't have to do every single one. You can, but you don't have to. And as a vendor, you're entitled to know the expected attendance. So don't be afraid to ask. You can ask, the event organizer how many people they're expecting will attend the event, and then you can kind of weigh it out. But also know, just because someone, like just because someone's only expecting, I don't know, 1,000 people or 3,000 people or even less than that or more than that, it shouldn't affect whether or not you want to apply, because there's so many other ways to capitalize on smaller events. I mean, you're going to be exhausted if all you're doing is attending and applying for the events that are like 10,000 people or more. It's exhausting because there's so many people, you're on your feet, and you probably aren't going to be able to sit down very much, and it's just hectic, right? Like it's hectic. So when things are hectic, it takes more energy out of you. That's one thing. And then also, because it's so busy, um, you can't make those really good, deep conversations with customers. Whereas if it was a smaller event, you could really have good one on one conversations with potential long term repeat customers, because you have a chance to be able to tell your story, small talk with them, get to know them a little bit better, versus an event where it's just like a line of people and you're like, okay, what do you want? Here you go, you pay, you move on to the next. I mean, of course, even with that, your product will speak for itself, and you're not going to be like, what do you want? Give me your money, bye. You're still going to give them good customer service, but it's not the same as like, oh, one person or two people coming up to your table. You're able to talk to them for maybe about 5 minutes about the story about your business, how it came to be, where you started, or if you're just starting, what you've been going through, and then creating a true connection. You're not going to have time for stuff like that when you're at an event that has a line. That also has its benefits, right? But so each event has its pros and cons. So don't just base your decision on where you're going to pop up on attendance. Also think about the audience that's going to come in. So who's your target market? Is it teenagers? Is it children? Is it young adults? Is it adults? Is it young families, college students? Is it um, senior citizens, people between the age of 40 and 50? Like who is it? And go to the events where most of them are going to show up. So, for example, for us, our target market is college students, new grads, and young families, right? So that's kind of our target market. And um, more so, I would say the undergrad and new family age group, right? So 20s or 20s, 30s, like that that age group. And so we want to pop up in the places that they're going to be. Um, there's no point in me popping up at, say, like a senior center, right? I mean, I could, and I probably would get sales, but I'd be less inclined to do an event like that versus a college campus orientation day, you know, or something like that. So you want to really think about who you want your target customer to be and what events are they going to be participating in. I mean, at one point we were even um, looking at like music festivals, but unfortunately, we're not going to be doing that anytime soon, considering everything. But we even did this event called December Nights in San Diego, where they would do like a holiday festival, and it was a weekend long thing, and we would go. Um, we didn't go last year because of everything that's going on, but we went, I think, the past 3 years, and tons of young families wanting to go and just have a place to see lights, Christmas trees, like all the festive things. And it was the perfect place for us to pop up because that's exactly who was attending the event, right? So that's an example. Holiday prep. Another thing is the the products that you're going to be selling. So are you going to just be selling your regular products, or are you going to do a special for the holidays? We always do a special gift set, and so we're going to be doing the same thing. And this, our goal for this week is to finalize what the um, what the product is and how much we're going to sell it for, what the size of each item in the gift box is going to be, that type of stuff. That's our goal for this week. on finalizing, because we just need to, I want to make sure that we have it, and then that way we can promote it and market it. So that's another thing that's really important when it comes to prep, and making sure it's just ready, right? And you have the marketing for it ready to go, because you want to do a mock-up. Here's another tip: do a mock-up if you're going to do a special item that you're going to be selling for the holidays. Put it in its box, take a photo, do a photo shoot. That way your marketing materials are really, really solid, and you're not like scrambling to try to put something together. Um, and then also, if you are going to make a holiday product, make it easy. Don't make it too difficult for yourself. Last year we did a pastry gift box, and what was really difficult for that was individually wrapping each item, even though we were selling like two or three of the same thing. I should have just pack them two or three. So this year, what I learned from last is that I want to sell a gift box, but in the same packaging that we currently sell our retail products. But maybe I do like a cookie gift box, maybe I do a brownie gift box, a macaroon gift box, that type of thing. I'm not sure exactly. Don't take my word that that's what we're going to be selling this year, but you know, I learned from last year on how to improve it for this one. So that's a good tip. Don't make it too difficult for you to make, because then in the thick of it, like if you get 100 orders, you're gonna be like, why did I do this? Because it's just more energy and more work than it should be. So that's another tip. And then for holiday prep, make sure you set your dates on pre-orders, if you're going to be taking pre-orders, or just orders in general. So when are you going to be closed on Thanksgiving? When are you going to be closed during the holidays? That way your customers know that the last date to order something is on a specific date, and then after that, it's up to you whether you want to take last minute orders outside of the order window, or if you're like, sorry, I'm on holiday, it it's not happening, right? So that's the last tip, and don't be afraid or ashamed to do one or the other. If you want to take a few extra orders because you can, do it. If you don't want to take any extra orders because you're inundated, or you just want to focus on family, do it. You should. Whatever you think is best for you, and just do you, boo. You know what I mean? So hopefully those holiday prep tips will help you. I will update you guys next week as well on what our holiday prep for this week looked like and what we decided on, because it's not just going to be a one day thing. It's going to be a process, and so our goal is to really get everything finalized before Halloween, and then we can, once Halloween is over, because October is also Filipino American History Month. We're really focusing on this month since we are a Filipino owned business. We are focusing on that, and then we're going to go hard and market holiday stuff come November. So we want to just have that all ironed out so that we're good for the holidays. We know what we're selling, we can start taking orders, and we can go from there. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Share with me what your goals are for this upcoming week. Let me know if you need any feedback or would like to have your booth critiqued at the next show. And you can also follow me on Instagram. I haven't been as active. I'm so sorry, but I haven't been as active just because things are really busy and I was trying to focus on personal stuff. But you can always follow me or DM me on Instagram at JustKissa. All of that info is down below. So thanks again. I'll talk to you soon. See you next Monday. Bye.